All right, about to enter or pass through the point of no return. Here we go. Cheers, guys. Not as bad as M. Not nearly as bad as M, but pretty bad.
According to YouTube's guidelines shown here, videos which intend to educate are documentary by nature and do not glorify the use of drugs. Both abide by the community safety guidelines and are eligible for monetization. The following video does not glorify the use of drugs, instead attempts to be non-biased while delivering vital life-saving information disguised as entertainment. Thanks YouTube, and don't forget to visit our Patreon page after the video for extra content and behind-the-scenes footage that only our patrons get to see. I love you, motherfucker.
In today's video, we are going to be testing via analytical reagents and via human testing the OG rare psychedelic mescaline, synthetic mescaline hydrochloride to be exact. And I have to preface this video by letting you guys all know, as always, I am creating this to keep you guys safe. This video has been made strictly for education and harm reduction. We do not recommend that anybody takes any compound. We are simply showcasing safe use measures to keep people safe. Thank you. And I don't want to be a broken record here like I always am in these videos and repeat what I've already repeated in many other videos. So if you want to learn more about what mescaline is, you can follow the link popping up somewhere here to another video where I already talked about what mescaline is. In a nutshell, mescaline is a phenethylamine drug. It's a psychedelic. It was one of the very first to get a lot of the late, great explorers involved in this field. It's what led Alexander Shulgin to, writing P-Cal phenethylamines I've known and loved, where he based most of his compounds off mescaline. For example, the 2C series, 2CB, are very similar in structure to mescaline. A lot of people say the experiences are somewhat similar, but mescaline really is like the grandfather of even psychedelics. Native Americans were using mescaline in the form of peyote or San Pedro cactus for thousands and thousands of years. The reason why it's so rare is because for a chemist to synthesize this, you don't get a very big yield, meaning you have to charge a lot of money for what essentially is like, 1 or 2 trips, versus for the same amount of money, you could probably get more than 10 hits of acid. It's not very profitable for dealers to sell, which is why it's so hard to come by. In my last video, a lot of you guys wanted to know more details about what actually causes the colors to change and why. So, with my limited understanding of chemistry, please forgive me as I try to explain this in more depth. You see, when a drop of a reagent is added to a chemical compound, it causes the two substances to combine, meaning they create one or more new substances which have a different molecular structure from the originals, which absorb and radiate light in different ways, causing a visible color change. Now, let's take one psychoactive drug and one reagent to better illustrate exactly how this happens. We will use the MescaI reagent and we'll mix it with morphine. I mean, theoretically, I don't have any morphine because this video is about mescaline, but let's use morphine and MescaI as an example because historically MescaI was invented in 1896 and it was historically used to differentiate between the different alkaloids in opium. Now, how it works is the MescaI reagent is made of a mixture of formaldehyde and concentrated sulfuric acid. And what happens is when the MescaI is mixed with morphine, 2 molecules of formaldehyde from the reagent and 2 molecules of morphine condense in the presence of the sulfuric acid to the dimeric product, which is pronated to the oxonium carbenzylum salt, which in turn radiates light differently, and what we see as a final result is a deep reddish purple color. In other words, if you had some morphine and you tested it via dropping a few drips of the MescaI reagent onto it, what would happen is the color would change to purple. And there you have it. That is how these reagents work when you're testing drugs. They each have their own unique chemical makeup, which combines with whatever drug it is you're testing, creating a slightly new compound which radiates light differently, meaning it has a different color reaction. At least I think. I'm not 100% sure on this. Fingers crossed that I got all of that right. Please, if there's some chemists in the house, let me know in the comments that I didn't just totally botch that entire example. Thank you. Anyway, let's get on with testing this substance. I've already got 6 piles laid out right here in front of me. Here's our beautiful 6 piles of mescaline hydrochloride. And to start things off, we are going to test it with the MescaI reagent. Now what we are looking for is, what are we looking for? We are looking for we're looking for an orange reaction. If this were to turn green, it would suggest that it was one of the 2C compounds, maybe 2CB, and sometimes dealers do sell things like 2CX substance, and they say that it's synthetic mescaline, when in fact it's a 2C compound because those are cheaper and easier to get, and a lot of people would love to try mescaline. We don't want to see a green here. What we're looking for is an orange. All right. Trying to hold this camera and do this at the same time is proving extremely difficult. Come on. There we go. It's looking pretty orange to me. You can see even in the mist drops where there was like just some residue from making the piles that started to turn orange in those. I'm going to comfortably say that's orange. Moving on to good old mech, where we are looking for a dark brown to black reaction. Oh, shoot. Clearly I suck at this. Yeah, instantly turned to dark brownish black. I'm going to say that that's looking promising. Let's move on. Next up, we got Mandolin, where we are looking for a light brown, yellow to light brown. Boom. It's hard to see because it's freaking green, but it is light brown. I don't know if you guys can make it out, but I can see underneath the green, it's a light brown. If I had a bit more light shining down on it, you guys would be able to see that as well. Anyway, it's looking good. Next up, we got Liberman, which should give us a dark brown. Ooh. Ooh, that's like real dark brown. Verging on black there. Nice. Everything's looking good so far. Now you see what would happen is if one of these was off, like for example, say, this isn't realistic because this isn't what would happen, but say this one turned to like orange or something. Wait, no, orange is close to brown. Let's say it turned purple. You'd be like, wait a second, these were all right, but that one's purple. So then what you would do is go on the chart and you would find a compound which matched mescaline in all the other color reactions, but for this one it turned purple, and you'd be like, oh, so I actually have such and such. So we're using the process of elimination, going through various reagents and seeing the color change to make sure that they all line up. And this is really the only way, the most simple and accessible way to test your drugs. The best way is to send them away to a lab. And that's really the only way to have them tested and for you to know for sure that what you have is what you think you have. But this is the next best thing. And using multiple reagents through, the process of elimination really does work great. Next up, we got Froid. And we're looking for, what do you know? Yellow to brown. All right. There we go. It's a little yellowish around the edges, and it's brown. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's all looking good. Last but not least, we have Simons. You got to do A and B, so A first, then B. And for Simons, we're looking for nothing. We should see no reaction. So it's one of those instances where if you do see it change, then that is a little suspicious. All right, so there we did the A. And now we got to quickly put some B on it. Oh, we have to P on it. And now let's see what happens. And nothing happened. Perfecto! It would appear via our extremely messy and reckless testing. I mean, I didn't try to be reckless, but yeah, I freaking am not very good at this apparently. I just don't have the dexterity to videotape and then like get those drops all lined up. It's tough, man. But yeah, regardless, all of my BS aside, it would appear that we have mescaline, synthetic mescaline at that. I mean, I would think that's what it's sold at, and it's very white. Usually when it's extracted, it's more of like an off-white, yellowish, even brown. But color aside, we have some mescaline hydrochloride, and the next stage after now that we have, uncovered that I do, oh shoot, what's happening? The Simons is doing something. Oh, I accidentally combined those two. What's that mean? Why is the Simons doing that? So this is where things get confusing, because on the chart, there's no compound under Simons that turns like a dark black. Like the only thing Simons ever does is turn blue. And I don't see any blue there. So I have absolutely no idea why Simons started to go dark. No clue. It could just be that the reagents themselves are old, and sometimes this kind of thing happens with old reagents that need to be switched out. Yeah. So considering there's nothing here that ever changes that color, again, it only ever changes blue. It's either no reaction or blue. I'm not too concerned with that. But that's weird. See, that is a bit of an anomaly. Regardless, this aside, this mescaline has been lab tested, so I already know that it's real mescaline. I'm just doing this for you guys, but there's another good example just how these aren't 100% reliable, because sometimes you do get these weird anomalies where things change to colors that they definitely shouldn't. It's not even on the darn chart, and you go like, huh, is that normal? And in those instances, it's probably smart to turn to an online forum, like, maybe reagent testing r/reagent testing on Reddit, something like that, and post the pictures and get like someone else's opinion as to why that might have happened. Because, it's better to be safe than sorry. And when in doubt, throw it out or send it away to a lab and get a proper analysis via mass spectrometry that way. Anyway, now that we have this reagent testing out of the way, let's move on to the more exciting stuff, which is the actual live testing. I hope you guys all enjoy. But before we get on to that part of the video, I have to ask you guys all a very serious question. Are you watching these videos under the protection of a VPN? Yes, you guys know what's up. This video is also sponsored by Surfshark. Huge shout out to them for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys. If you don't already have a VPN, you can follow the link in my video description. Use code PSYCH to get 83% off. You also get the first 3 months for free. That unlocks the best price currently on the market. And essentially what a VPN does is allow you to search the internet anonymously, meaning your internet provider can't see what you are doing. Versus right now, your internet provider would know that you are watching my YouTube video at this exact time because they're definitely
monitoring everything you do, and there's like a person assigned to every single person out there, and you're always being watched. I know that sounds paranoid, delusional, crazy.
Yeah, it does sound pretty crazy. So what a VPN does is it allows you to change where you're from. So say you're wanting to watch Netflix and the show you want isn't actually available in your country. You can log on to your VPN, you can change your country to anywhere in the world, and then you can log back into Netflix or just refresh the page, and then boom, bada bing. All of a sudden now you can watch totally new shows. Follow the link to Surfshark, sign up, 83% off. Huge shout out to them. Thank you guys. And now that we got our sponsorship shout out done, we are going to move on to the live testing. All right, guys, it is time for the exciting part of this video, the live testing. So the first thing I'm going to do is check my resting heart rate. To do a comparison, to make this, somewhat scientific. Current heart rate is loading. This will tell us if I'm nervous right now or not. 59. So I'm a little bit nervous because my resting rate for the day is 41, which a lot of you guys commented in the last video that I think it was 47 that day, and you were like, wow, how's your heart rate so low? And it's largely because I'm a fucking athlete. I run, I lift weights, I'm pretty fit. I've always had fantastic cardiovascular strength, and that is reflective of my incredibly low resting heart rate. So you can see it's a little higher than normal. Right now, my nerves aren't too bad at all. I'm really just ready to see what this does. As for the dose, we've got it right here. So what you're looking at right here is 250 milligrams of mescaline hydrochloride, synthetic mescaline hydrochloride. There's 2 ways to get it. You can make it in a lab, or you can extract it from the cacti. This one is lab made. I don't know if that necessarily makes much of a difference, if any. It might suggest that there's less impurities in this. I know that this stuff is real freaking strong. In order to make this video as realistic to what an average dose is as possible, we are going to take the most average dose. But again, keep in mind, this is the average dose of something that is very pure and very potent, which kind of offsets the scale a little bit. Anyway, to ensure that it comes on a little bit faster, because mescaline is notorious for taking for freaking ever to come on, meaning the last time I had a real dose, it took over 3 hours for me to feel the effects. All right? So what we're going to do is we got some it was hot, now it's probably warm water here, and we are going to mix it in with this powder, and then I'm going to swish it around my mouth so I can allow it to absorb sublingually, meaning through those sensitive glands underneath my tongue, and that should be kind of similar to boofing it or, plugging it, putting up your butt, where it would absorb extremely fast and it would hit you really strong. I wouldn't say this is as effective as boofing, but it is going to be more effective than simply swallowing it. Without more jibber jabber, let's mix this stuff together and see what happens. All right. Can't really do this with one hand. It's pretty much all mixed. There's a few little bits of powder still not mixed in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this into my gullet. I'm going to swish it around, try to hold it as long as I can manage the bitter taste. And then after I swallow it, I'm going to throw a little bit more water in there, swish it around just to get everything, every last bit of crystalline powder that may be stuck to the recesses of this testing boat. All right, about to enter or pass through the point of no return. Here we go. Cheers, guys. Not as bad as M. Not nearly as bad as M, but it's pretty bad. I could do this for a while. Can't really talk though. I was losing some. Well, as long as I don't try to talk, I'm going to hit the wrong cam. I think I feel it already. Cool. Now, if that is even half as potent as taking it up the butt, then it's going to suggest that that dose was much higher than 250 milligrams. Plugging it can sometimes double the potency. So yeah, I may have just consumed a relatively high dose of mescaline. We're just gonna have to wait and see for the effects to see just how hard that hits. Hopefully it does ensure that it comes on faster. It is currently 110. That is our starting point. And my resting heart rate is currently I love this watch, man. Makes this so easy. 70 beats per minute. All right, science, baby. Let's see what happens. Anyway, let's pause here, and I will meet you guys back here at the first signs of some form of psychoactive effect. Wish me luck. It is 1:40, so it's been 30 minutes now, and I started to notice you get this, like, it's true for a lot of psychedelics, you get this taste in your mouth. Anyone who's tripped knows this taste. You get this strange taste kind of in the back of your throat, roof of your mouth. Your stomach starts to feel a little uneasy. The first alerts that I'm noticing is breathing. Like, not as in environment is breathing, like any kind of shifting, more like just my own breathing. Just seems a little different. From my experience with mescaline is it's a very slow build. So even if you do have your first alerts happen relatively early, it can still take up to 3 hours for you to hit like those peak strong effects. Like there's like an intro phase and then it slowly builds up to the peak, versus other things like LSD kind of land you at the peak relatively quickly. I find this is more of a gradual climb. Skin's starting to feel a little different. I feel sorry for anyone who has to use this microphone after me. We are, we're almost an hour in, and I was just sitting over there contemplating how calm I feel. It's a little different than in the past, having these experiences where I was really wound up tight, and instead of unwinding me, these things would just wind me up even tighter until I didn't think I could get any tighter, and then I would almost implode from just paranoia. And now I'm feeling kind of the opposite. In fact, I was trying to think about things that would cause anxiety. So I was almost fishing for scared thoughts, and not necessarily the best thing you want to do, but I was contemplating why I used to have such a difficult time during these experiences. And I think that's very important to share, because there aren't very few people out there who went there are, but not let me say this clearly. There aren't a lot of people out there who are openly in the public eye, discussing going into like the eye of evil, like diving headfirst into the darkness that these experiences can cause, and then subsequently making their way out of it and being able to have an experience again with superstitious, knock on wood, you know, being fine. A lot of us have these faux confident masks that we try to wear, and it's really just our form of running and hiding. It's not that we're trying to lie, we just don't know how to get through these insecurities. And it's like when people tell us just be confident, we translate that into, okay, so I got to fake it better, because we don't know any other way. You don't know what you don't know, man. Real confidence and comfort and being able to dive into your conscious mind and explore, it requires getting around that fake shield, not only dismantling it, but understanding what it is that we didn't know. Well, that's interesting. See, just talking about being calm, it brought my resting heart rate down. Visually speaking, my interpretation of light is a little altered. It looks like it's in the process of building, though. We're not really there yet. I was feeling a little nausea in my stomach, but just sitting down and breathing through it seems to work. Lots of saliva. That's what I feel. Lots of buildup in my mouth. The skin feels a little different. You notice I keep rubbing my face on this, and that's just because my skin feels different. It's kind of boring, you know? Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm just waiting. It's like I kind of want to eat something because I'm hungry. I'm always friggin' hungry. Or like I have to work out today, and I'm thinking like, okay, so now it's 2 o'clock. It's after 2. I should be doing my exercising. But I'm trying to refrain from those types of activities at the moment as to not botch our experiment. Here we go. Hour and 20 minutes in. Tummy has I just ate a ginger candy. It helps. Actually, I found greatly ginger soothes the stomach. See? Words becoming a little choppier. Blah, 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 blah. It's a very gradual, slow build. It's almost like you're climbing a mountain and like you just keep stopping to take a break. Like eat a bar. You're like, yeah, I got to recuperate my energy. Then you throw your backpack on. You start trekking a little bit. Don't get very far, though, before you're like, all right, let's take another break. That's how this climb to the top of the actual effects index feels. Like, let's dive into these effects and see what it's got to show us. But we're just slowly meandering our way into them. I mean, I say that, yet I'm fully engulfed in something. Yeah. Almost seems like there's something wafting through the air. A very thick something. But you can't touch it. You can't even really see it. There's just something there. Perhaps it's simply an increase in saliva production. Oh, I'm noticing that light. That one. Yeah, I see you, light. I'm having my usual difficult time making eye contact with the camera. I find the camera to be this trippy looking cyclops, man. Often, even when it would almost appear as though I'm reading off something because I'm looking into the distance, but I'm not. I'm actually just staring at the two lights in front of me. One's got its light bulb on, the other one's got its light bulb off. I'm looking at the one that's off. And the camera's just in between those two light bulbs. And it's just like, why's that Cyclops got to be watching? I mean, I'm making something into something that it's not. So I'm just kind of playing around here because I'm bored and I'm trying to make this interesting. But I got to remember, don't give yourself too much time to edit because you got to edit this out fast. Woo! Just a weirdo sitting in my basement, being weird as per usual. Simple mind, simple things. Don't ever get very big. Currently at 70 beats a minute. Really not that bad. I think it's I just dropped to 62. Oh, baby. All right. I think I'm well within a range of safety to go for a walk. Oh, 59. Yeah, let's do it. We're going to go for a treadmill walk/jog. Maybe it'll jog this up a notch. Does that make sense? I don't know. Here we are. We are 2 hours in, and I'm treadmilling it up, baby. We're just going to continue on our day as if nothing's going on. Because, yeah, it's just, why? I'm going to treadmill and then I'm going to train. Let's see how that goes. Just did a 35-minute jog and then had a shower, feeling refreshed and good. Oh, boy. We are currently at the infamous 3-hour mark. What is gonna happen? I'm kind of like anticipating. I think I have more experience with these compounds than I let on. I'm definitely like 100% feeling effects. My voice sounds different to me. Like hearing myself talk is weird. Very heightened senses. Like I can hear sounds that are far away as if they're really close. What I'm trying to say is I am definitely feeling effects. What I was trying to say is I'm feeling effects and you can't really tell because, well, I'll just continue talking and you'll figure it out. It's interesting when you come into these experiences from like practicing meditation for a while now. Like the goal of meditation is to, for lack of a better term, meditate always. It's not to like have these little moments when you're in a meditative state. It's to transition so that your brain always functions in that way in your day-to-day life. If you have a different goal to your meditation, then that's totally on you. But for me, it's to reach that level of just being in the present moment, that level of awareness where you are the observer of the thoughts always, instead of feeling like you're just being tugged and pulled every which way. Well, essentially the alternative to being the observer is to be puppeted. It's really weird for me watching this back and editing it right now because I look so f***ing normal. And yet I was actually full on psychedelic effects at this point. Like it was nothing insanely intense, but I had visuals, my skin felt funny, I experienced nausea, all of my senses were altered, and yet I'm watching this and it's like, what? It's hard to describe because our language breaks everything apart into pieces when there's really nothing to break apart. That's just how we describe things. We dissect them in order for them to make sense given the words that we have been taught. But really, there's just this. And yes, this is my attempt at appearing deep, but this is it. This is all that we got. We got this. And I think meditation is learning how to better appreciate, I mean, what do you describe it? The silence? It's not always silent though, because this is forever changing and morphing and becoming something new every moment. Sometimes it's silent, sometimes it's not, and sometimes we are very uncomfortable with ourselves, so we have to constantly mask and hide and do things to run and to make it so that we are doing anything but looking at this, which is just, there's no words. It's just being, you know? And when you practice meditation, what I think my ego thinks the goal is to better appreciate this and not feel like you have to run and hide, or moreover, not feel like you have to constantly change this. I'm one to talk, the guy who's changed his chemical makeup currently by being on a dose of mescaline is telling you that you shouldn't have to run and hide to change this. But what I wanted to ultimately say is it's interesting how much more put together I feel during these experiences now after a daily meditation. And it's not just the meditation, because you have to understand it's being, you start with meditating and then you're kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then you transition to throughout your day, like you'll catch little glimpses where you're kind of like, aha, I see what you're doing there. You're putting yourself into it when you should be, could be, would be. Fucking language. I can't tell you what the goal to meditation is, but what being in that state frequently shows you is it's not much different, if any, from the state psychedelics put you in. So then when you experience psychedelics, of course, keep in mind this is dose dependent. I'm on no form of a heroic dose here. We're on a very average dose. But then when you do experience these compounds, it's easier to just breathe and just kind of like roll with it, ride the waves and accept this for being this. And really the only times that these things get scary is when you try to insert what you believe should be happening over top of what is happening, and you try to assert your dominance on this, whatever, the moment, the conversation, whatever, extrapolate this how you will. Once you try to constantly control your environment, that's what births anxieties and feelings of helplessness and problems, and most of us want to be lost in the sea of problems. But when you zoom out and you see it as a sea that you're choosing to be lost in, whereas there's a lifeboat, you can jump aboard and you can be saved at any moment. Once you realize that you are the sea, the boat, the everything, you're like, so I'm not victim to the storm. How can the storm be victim to itself? You're both the storm and the thing being stormed on. Oh boy. Then you're like, this is interesting. And then in the beginning, it just kind of sounds like jibber jabber, like whatever. That sounds like an interesting concept, but you can't actually relate to it. It just sounds like a neat concept, but you can't actually put yourself in it. And when knowledge becomes wisdom is when you have experienced it and it kind of goes beyond the words, because anybody can read a script. You can be an actor and read a script and just spew words till you're fucking green in the face. You can spew words. Doesn't mean anything. Anyone can say anything. Anyone can say anything. Anything can say anyone. Oh boy. And then it's like, yeah, just whatever, man. Just whatever. But wisdom is when you've lived those experiences and you're trying to then turn them into words. And that is something that you just get from fucking up a lot. You get it from messing up a whole great deal and surviving those storms. Because when you start truly grasping this, what this is, then you're like, well, it changes you. And of course, you still find yourself victim to playing the role because it can be habitual, and that's what we're kind of here to do as well. We're here to play roles. Like, you kind of just can zoom out and you can see the play for the play, you know? Or maybe you don't know. Or maybe you do know. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe nobody knows. Maybe I'm just full of shit too. Who freaking cares? Because right now I'm just watching the play, baby. I'm just watching. Observing. Taking it all in. And exhaling it all. And oh, would you look at that fancy spinning thing. Oh boy, gotta be a dancing monkey again. It's time to be entertaining. Bullshit, man. Bullshit. Oh, you just put on the act of pretending to be annoyed? Yep, okay. Now you're putting on the act of pretending to call out all of your emotions. That's an interesting one. Oh, now you're the one pretending to be the one calling out the emotions, who's experiencing the emotions, but then calling them out. Wow. So you're like the cameraman filming the cameraman, 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 filming the cameraman. It's like looking into a mirror with another mirror behind you. You ever tried that? There's a mirror behind you, and you look into the mirror, and you're looking into the mirror, within 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 the mirror. Now I'm trying to sound deep when really I'm about as shallow as a puddle. That was a good one. Oh, really? You're going to laugh at your own jokes now? Oh, man, that's so lame. Wow, it's really cool because when you're on these compounds, you can, like, hear everything. You can hear all the little parts chirping up and going, you can just hear them. But which one do you choose to align with? Oh, my goodness. What if you align with none of them? What happens then? That's interesting, huh? What happens when you align with none of them? And yet that noise is still annoying. Man, must need to meditate harder, bro. That's it. You just gotta meditate harder, bro. I haven't reached the level of not being annoyed yet. Wow. Or am I now trying to be relatable because I just spent a whole great deal of time being totally not relatable to most people watching? Who the knows, really? Who knows? I will say that the act is fun. Why else would you do it if it's not fun? I can observe the various things that I want to say, and I can feel the feelings and reasons for saying them. In a like pulled out of the player kind of sense. It's fascinating, really. It's very fascinating. Let's go for a walk outside. We're off for a walk. 4-hour mark now. So if something spectacular was going to happen, it either missed its mark or it's happening. I think it's happening. So we're going for a walk. Lots of saliva production. Saliva. Lots of saliva. My voice sounds so different to me right now. Sounds so different to me. I can't sound low if I want to. Everything sounds higher. Everything sounds higher. So here we are. This is the day after the mescaline experience. I'm still wearing the exact same shirt because I'm a filthy animal. And I'm over here trying to do some bench press, and holy crap do I feel weak. Oh my gosh. And I had the worst sleep last night. Absolute worst. And I mean that, no exaggeration. I woke up at 2 a.m. with a pounding headache, a migraine. Honestly, it was one of the worst headaches I've ever had in my life. It was so bad. I couldn't lay down. I had to walk around for 30 minutes and I was exhausted at this point. And I had to walk because it hurt so bad. Finally fell asleep by sitting down because laying down hurt so bad. So I'm assuming the headache had to do with the experience. So these things aren't all freaking sunshine and rainbows, man. There's some tough shit. And like right now, I feel pretty drained. Keep in mind, I'm no stranger getting no sleep with kids and stuff. I'm always up in the middle of the night, constantly. So that's not a new thing for me. But the freaking headache was dreadful. And having no energy to exercise right now is pretty crummy. I feel like a weakling. Yeah, anyway, hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave it with a big thumbs up, smash that like button, and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. Like none of you guys hit the bell, and less than half of you who watch these are subscribed. So subscribe, hit the bell, show me some love over here, jeez. Big shout out to our patrons, love you guys. Gonna be posting some more behind the scenes content on Patreon soon. And yeah, shout out to Surfshark again. Thank you for sponsoring this wicked video. And I hope you guys all enjoy. And let me know in the comments below what substance you would like to see me test next. And please don't say meth or heroin because it's just not freaking happening. Maybe PCP though.